Then we have implicit and direct policies. Direct policies, you remember, means policies that affect immediately cities, but they are not taking in mind the urban dimension. So we have the mainstream, state mainstream policies. There are policies such as education, labor market, infrastructure, research and development. They are only implicitly urban as they are not formulated with a specific urban focus. And someone says that they should be more specialized in order to deal with urban challenges. And the last type is that of indirect and implicit policies, whose target are local governments in general and considered all alike, those not taking into account the specificity of urban dimension. These include measures aimed at reforming and reforming and empower local governments through the strengthening of the executive, of the political leadership, decentralization of power, and also measures providing local governments with new instruments and tools for governing, for making policies, such as the public-private partnership in the United Kingdom or the contracts in France, and so on. So what we have is a rather wide variety of national actions that are important for cities. But here comes the second question. Why does a state carry out direct or indirect, explicit or implicit urban policies? As I told before, this was not part at the beginning of our aims, but a tentative explanation is possible based on three most important factors. I will try to go through them very rapidly. Don't be scared. It could seem difficult, but it's rather easy to understand. We have only three variables to cope with. So, three factors. First factors predicts whether and to what extent a government can or not carry out its own political action for cities. So it means why a government can produce direct or not, direct policies or only indirect policies, urban policies. This is to be essentially found in the rules of the game established by constitutional orders, and by informal rules governing the relationships between levels. As second factors influences not what can be done, but which actions, so implicit or explicitly urban, a government will perform and how, according to which policy frame, with which goals, which instruments. And this factor is to be found in the way, let's say, urban problems are constructed, are interpreted in the making of the political agenda, or in, let's say, when passing from a problem agenda to a solution agenda. And then there is a third variable that would have been impossible not to deal with. This is the role of politics. Government change. Government are center-left oriented or center-right oriented. Then we had to ask ourselves whether this makes a difference or not. So let's go through it. As concerns the first factor, we can have decentralized or federal systems or centralized and unitary system. And obviously, a federal or quasi-federal system leave less room for national governments to deal directly with urban issues. In Germany, direct urban policies are present, but are not completely owned by the federal government, and the Länder play an important role. And for the same reason, we have a weak urban policy in Spain. As concerns the second factor, the shaping of policy frames comes from the definition of problems to be dealt with. So we have three major possibilities. We have actions that enter the political agenda because of the perception of strong urban disease, social disease, and in particular of social alarm connected to such social disease. We will see it's the case of France, it's the case of the United Kingdom. And it means that there are economic and social problems that are interpreted as specifically urban. And secondly, such problems can be interpreted in such a way to be coupled with a certain solution and not with others. For example, in France and the UK, area-based programs, so direct and explicit urban policies, are answers given in order to show that the government is actually doing something to deal with the causes of urban riots in the banlieue. Often this, also in UK, social alarm has always been a good reason for governments to act and to start new programs. Often this means that also to add new programs to the existing ones or to leave a political mark on existing programs by changing them only marginally. When such an urban social alarm is not present, as it happens in Spain, area-based programs do not enter the national agenda, while Germany is in a rather intermediate position. So social disease in the cities, but not social alarm.